Bank of Brazil. Esqueci que sou brasileiro. Banco do Brasil. New fourth quarter results. Earnings above expectations. Not quite. Dividend announcement and guidance for 2026. This video will be a bit more dynamic when it comes to the results, since I've already talked about Banco do Brasil in other videos, and the overall scenario hasn't changed that much. This chart shows the bank's profit history. Long story short, it was delivering around 8 to 9 billion in profit per quarter, with ROE return on equity above 20%. After a sharp increase in delinquency, especially in the agriculture segment, along with higher provisions, ROE dropped from 21 to 8.4%, and profit fell from 9.6 billion to 3.8 billion. Now, the new fourth quarter report shows profits rising again, from 3.8 to 5.7 billion. Well, not exactly a full recovery. As we can see, annual profit declined 45%, which reflects the problems I've already discussed in other videos on the channel. The cost of credit continues to rise, which is a negative point because it suggests the bank expects even more defaults in its loan portfolio. And that's exactly what has been happening. The credit portfolio expanded only modestly, indicating that the bank is being more cautious when issuing new loans. Meanwhile, delinquency continues to rise. In fact, the bank provisioned less than what it might have been necessary, which ended up helping profits look stronger. This doesn't mean the earnings increase was purely an accounting maneuver, but it also wasn't driven mostly by structural or operational improvements. The agriculture sector continues to be the main source of pressure here. Alright, moving on to adjusted net income. The key point I want to highlight is related to income tax and social contribution. In short, the bank received a tax benefit that boosted profits in this quarter. Without it, profits would likely have been very similar to the third quarter. I don't want to make the video too technical or boring, but just out of curiosity, the program BB Regulariza, Banco of Brazil Regularize, was launched in October 2025, and it aims to support rural producers who are affected by adverse climate events. And that program resulted in this tax benefit, which is provided for by law. That's why profit recovery doesn't fully convince me. It didn't come from the bank's core operations. Of course, cash coming in is always good, but I prefer to see profits growing due to operational efficiency, because that usually signals stronger future prospects. To wrap things up, I won't even compare the results with the 2025 guidance, because it was revised down twice. That alone already makes us think carefully about 2026 guidance. Still, we are in a recovery phase, and the bank is clearly working to improve its results. For 2026, Banco do Brasil expects moderate growth in the credit portfolio. The cost of credit should be lower than in 2025, thanks to the actions the bank is taking to strengthen its results. However, profits should still remain well below the historical peaks we saw in the recent years. The bank expects profit growth between 10 and 30% in 2026, and of course, this should happen gradually throughout the year. Dividends will continue following the schedule previously announced by the bank. Naturally, they will be smaller, both because profits declined and because the payout ratio was reduced. The bank is now distributing 30% of profits as dividends instead of 40%. And now to conclude, Banco do Brasil is taking action to improve its results, but I still don't see these results as a clear inflection point or a full reversal of the downward trend. The situation has stabilized somewhat, but it's wiser to wait for the next chapters before making a more definitive decision. I don't believe the situation is not concerning enough to justify selling the stock. Of course, every portfolio has different objectives, but the company's fundamentals remain strong. It's simply going through a difficult period and responding to it, something that has happened several times in the past. Banco do Brasil is actually the oldest listed company on the Brazilian Stock Exchange, and it has gone through many economic crises. In the short term, yes, there may be more obvious opportunities in the market, but I try to avoid excessive trading in my portfolio. I am satisfied with my average purchase price, even though my yield on cost is a bit lower than what I would like. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. I'm the Brazilian investor, literally from Brazil. See you next time. Muito obrigado, forte abraço e até a próxima.